Hello, my name is. And the knowledge issue that I will be discussing today is, can we be sure that a serial killer is born or made? One of the key questions to this is, can we separate these killers from being victims or monsters? One of the main questions is, where does the urge come from? Would we be able to resist such temptations? Is it genetic, biological, or does it involve anything to do with the conditions of the environment? Do serial killers have any controls over their desires? Is there an internal cage? And what sets them apart from us? Statistically, the serial killer is usually a white male coming from a lower or mid-class family, and usually is in their 20s or mid-30s. The killer usually has a pattern of 3 to 4 victims. The victims have no connection to the killer. The killer usually needs to statistically dominate their victim. The motive is psychological, never material, and the victim may have some symbolic value to the killer. Usually the value is revealed during their method of killing, and the victims are usually vulnerable. Some of these victims are usually runaways, prostitutes, usually some involve children, and usually some of them involve the other. One of the key arguments to the assumptions of a serial killer is the nurture. Can we truly separate a killer from being born or nurtured by such conditions as childhood? Could the condition be of the parental partners that are involved in this child's life? Do they thrive upon their sexual fantasies? Usually killers feel the need to complete their sexual impulses. Do they apply it upon nurturing their insanity? Do they nurture it upon their completeness, trying to fill in that gap that's within their soul or within their hearts? Do they nurture the need to simply say, oh, it was an accident, when truly it's never an accident? Or do they feel unloved through the findings of that they're adopted? Or is it because they just felt like nurturing those symptoms into becoming a blood cold-hearted killer? We see these people smiling, acting normally among society. We see ourselves every day saying hi and hello to our parents, to our friends. But yet, behind the smile, is there a beast? Is there a killer within this very person? I myself one day found myself in the kitchen, looking at the kitchen knives, actually holding one in my bare hand and asking myself this very same question. Do I have the potential to kill? Or am I a killer yet to be revealed? Can I truly slaughter someone that I truly love? Or can I do it out of pure spite and just do it for the means of pleasure? Which brings to the argument of the mask of sanity. Usually a serial killer appears to be normal, hiding behind a mask. Behind this mask, they show no sympathy and show no misery to their victims. Usually they reveal their plan to the victim, making the kill more desirable and more easier for them. They usually behind it, your well-constructed fabricated normalcy, and usually they stimulate this by observing others. You find yourself in the park one day, and you see this man sitting on a bench, and you ask yourself, is he questioning life, or is he examining me? Is he looking at my face, or is he looking at my body language? Is he looking at the woman right next to me, seeing her playing with her infant, smiling, and having joy? Is he using this to create a method to seduce his victim? The time is ticking, tick-tock. Usually they blame this upon child abuse, or is it genetics? Usually they're saying that the infant was born with some type of brain mutation, or they blame it upon chemical imbalances within them. Usually high levels of estrogen, testosterone, low levels of testosterone or high levels of testosterone, usually key components to the high sexual compulsions that serial killers have. Brain injuries from usually motor accidents, exposure to traumatic events, seeing someone being killed or seeing something being killed, seeing animals being skinned alive, or usually some of them are farmers and they see their grandparents actually slaughter these animals. And usually social injustice. They blame the world for their misdemeanors, that life sucks, and that they find the need to find justice within society, and so they select certain victims to feel complete. Which raises a question. Again, are they born or are they made? Can we truly say that a killer is born? Or that a child that's been neglected, abused, and sexually abused repeatedly by their own mother or father have a key component to the assumption that a killer is nurtured or born? If a killer is born, they usually go through a period which is called a trial. Usually in this period, they usually set fires, or they usually kill the pet that they have in their home. Usually killing them or skinning them, or actually burning them with anything they can reach. And the main key is bedroom. Some of them actually urine on their toys. They usually without urine in bed. They actually cover themselves in their own body fluids. But how can we assume that a normal child that experiences bedwetting is actually a killer?
Okay, I have a couple of questions. I noticed that in your list of causes you had adoption. Did you find any research that said adoption, people who are adopted can become serial killers? I never heard that.
Yeah, actually they feel the need that they need to find their parents in order to find reasons why they were given away. And usually it gets them to the point where they're really angry. And usually that anger usually triggers to them to being psychopathic, as to find some type of revenge among their adopted parents and their
parents, the people who've adopted the people, or the natural parents. The other thing I thought was interesting was your comment about sexual compulsion. Is there a correlation between sexual compulsion and serial killing?
Yes, they usually they have sexual fantasies that they feel that they need to complete. Usually
So sexual fantasies are synonymous with sexual compulsives?
Yeah, they do. The sex drive that a person has, they feel the need to actually release it as much as possible in any given way. I think it was the 17th century, there was this one, I think he was a count. He actually had children brought to his house, had sex with them, tortured them, and usually ejaculated inside the bellies just out of pure pleasure.
Okay, so there is an element of
there is an element behind it.
Okay. The other thing is, I think I understood your knowledge. What do you really think your knowledge issues are? I heard nature and nurture, but are you arguing that the truth and validity of the statistics is inaccurate? Or are you arguing that we interpret the statistics incorrectly?
Statistically, the white male is actually the main killer. Usually, there are some African Americans, some Hispanic.
So you're arguing that serial killers are stereotypes, and that we are inaccurately stereotyping.
Yes.
And the other thing your point made was the whole comment about disguises and masks. Are you arguing that because of the mask, we are believing the assertions of the killer when we shouldn't be?